Hi guys. In the last lecture we left off after creating a ball and letting it move around in our board, you could say. So in this lecture I plan to create two classes, Paddle and Paddle1, and we'll program them to using the bind all function to make them go left right. Now obviously only one of the paddles will be able to use the left right function. So for the other one, we'll program it with the A and D keys. So left, right for one paddle and A and D for the other paddle. All right, sounds good. Let's close this. Close this. So after our class ball, let's create a new class. Let's call it class paddle. And we're going to be initializing it probably almost the same as we initialized our other class. So def init, we're going to say self canvas and color. What color should the paddles be? So we're going to say self.canvas is equal to canvas, and self.id is equal to canvas.create rectangle, and 0, 150, 30, 250, and fill is equal to color. Now, I won't be using the self.canvas move as we've done before, because the way I initialize my canvas.create rectangle, it'll automatically position the rectangle where I want it to be. Great. Now let's create our .y variable. So self.y, because the only thing our paddle will do is move up and down the screen. So self.y is equal to 0. And we want to create our self.canvas height. Canvas height is equal to self.canvas .winfo underscore height. Great. And then you can initialize our width as well. Self.canvas width is equal to self.canvas.winfo underscore width brackets. Great. So now we have our two variables. Now, before we do that, let's create our draw function. So def draw. And in it, we're just going to pass the value self. We'll just be saying, first let's get a coordinates. So self.canvas.move. So let's move it, because obviously this is going to be the animation part. Self.id, 0. So remember, the x value should not move. It should only be the y value. So self.id, 0, self.y. Great. So now let's create our coordinates. Position is equal to self.canvas.chords, self.id. Now, if you think I'm going a bit too fast, I'm sorry about that, but you should probably know all of this by now. If you don't, just look back over to our bounce lecture where I explained everything. Right now, I'm just getting through this so that we can have a working application. Anything that's new, I'll explain it definitely. And if not, you can always send me an email, or in the questions section, you can always ask me the question. So now we have position is equal to self.canvas.chords, self.id. So we want to check to make sure our paddle does not go too high or too low. So it's going to be if position 1 is less than or equal to 0, then we're just saying that if the top of the paddle has gone past the top of the board, we want to say self.y is equal to 0. We don't want the paddle to move anymore. And if position 3 is greater than or equal to 400, then we're going to say self.y is equal to 0. Command S, let's save that. Down over here, let's start saying paddle. So let's first initialize the class. Paddle is equal to paddle canvas, and you can do whatever color you want. I'm just going to do white for now because white looks awesome. Ball.draw, paddle.draw. Hopefully we're not missing anything. Command S, F5, let's see. And so far, no error. Great. So now we have a paddle, as you can see. It's not going to be responding to any of our keys yet, and the ball is going through. But we have a paddle, so that's awesome. I actually don't like the white color. We can change it. So let's make this, let's make it a blue paddle, because blue is awesome. All right. So now we have our paddle, and we are not moving it right now, so let's get it to move. So it's going to be def move or turn left. So basically the code we used in the last lecture, self, comma, EBT. And all we're going to say over here is this. So we want to check. Alright, so right now we're self.left should make it self.y is equal to, well, let's see here. So left would be going up. So self.y should be -3. And def turn right. Self.event self.y should equal to 3. Now hopefully I got this right. I'm not completely sure, but I think this should work. Yep. And before we do anything, let's first bind our keys. So let's go and get the A and the D. So let's go over to our initialization section, and we're going to say over here, self.canvas.bindAll, and it's going to be the letter A, comma, self.turnLeft, and self.canvas.bindAll, B, or no, it's going to be D, comma, self.turnRight. Wow, so this should now work. Command S, let's run it, F5. So let's click this. Is it running? No, it's giving us an error. Name bind all is not defined. So let's close this and see. Okay, we put a comma over here. That's why it's not working. So Command S, F5. And is it working? A and D. Okay, look at that. So our paddle is now working. As you can see, it goes up and it goes down. So down, up, down, up. If the ball hits, it's just going to go through. Awesome. So we have a working paddle on the left side. It's time to create one on the right side. In the next lecture, we'll create the paddle on the right side and then add the functionality if the ball hits either paddle. See you in the next lecture.